I will not watch it in a house. I will not watch it with a mouse. I will not watch it with a fox. I will not watch it in a box. I will not watch Cat in the Hat. I wouldn't do a thing like that.
Because that's how you get ants!
When did culture decide that the only thing missing from the world was singing cats? In 2003, The Cat in the Hat got a live-action movie starring Mike Myers as the titular hero. It went poorly.
Oh, that was way harsh, Ty.
It was nominated for almost every Raspberry Award category, winning for Worst Excuse for an Actual Movie. It's said that the Geisel estate hated Cat in the Hat so much, they refused to let any other Dr. Seuss material get the live-action treatment. Somehow, a 61-page children's book that takes approximately 5 minutes to read out loud to your kid had to turn into an 82-minute movie. As outrageous as that feat is, ours is more difficult, finding anything nice to say about The Cat in the Hat.
The Cat in the Hat.
One thing I loved about this movie is the world the characters lived in. If you've ever seen Pushing Daisies, the whimsical, colorful, over-the-top world is similar to the Seussical world of the film.
Attention everyone! It's 9:02! Staff meeting! Staff meeting!
Joan Walden is a single mom who works at a real estate firm. The bright, colorful world fits perfectly with her germaphobe boss, Hank Humberflube. Everything must be immaculate. She has 2 kids, Conrad and Sally. Sally is a joyless girl who makes to-do lists every day and has no friends. Conrad is a brat. Alec Baldwin plays Lawrence, the next-door neighbor who is dating Joan.
Knock, knock. Someone lose a dog?
He wants to send Conrad to Colonel Wilhelm's military school to straighten him out.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime proposition, and you must act now. The Colonel Wilhelm Military Academy for Troubled Youth is what we call in the sales game a win-win scenario.
Lawrence turns out to be a skeevy con man who's after Joan for her money. Joan is preparing for a work event to be held at her house. She tells the kids they need to keep the house clean, as Hank Humberflube will not be able to stand a mess. If the house is out of order when they arrive, she'll be fired. Conrad yells at her that he wishes he had a different mother, and she says back sometimes she wishes the same. This feels like the classic Home Alone setup. I guess that anything nice to say, we look for the silver lining, but there was one thing about this movie I loved. They didn't make the occupants of this fictional world Whos. For me, live-action Whos occupy a very specific place in the uncanny valley, and I find them hard to look at. In this, people are people without mouse noses. I'm thankful for that. The movie quickly transitions into Mike Myers doing shtick and mugging to the camera. At times, it seems like even the cat doesn't want to be there. Some of the jokes are okay. There were a few times I laughed out loud. Not every double entendre lands, but there were a few that did okay. Despite all that, there's a strong heartbeat underneath that drives the movie. At the beginning, the cat takes a reading on the 2 kids and finds that Sally is a control freak and Conrad is a rule breaker. The point is, both kids are in a bad way. Sally needs to loosen up a bit, and Conrad needs more control. And all of this has an undercurrent that Joan is having a hard time finding work-life balance as a single mother. There's a scene where they are chasing their escaped dog, where they come across a birthday party attended by everyone Sally knows, yet Sally wasn't invited.
Everyone I know is there. There's Ginny and Ellen. How come Denise didn't invite me to her birthday?
Don't worry.
The gravitas of this scene is cut by a nut shot, but it's still an important moment when Sally realizes no one likes her because she has a stick up her butt. On the other hand, the cat's outrageous behavior and the mess he makes is so beyond the pale that Conrad has to step in and enforce the rules. By the end of their adventure, the cat retakes the readings and finds that they are in balance. When the kids dispense the cat's wisdom, Joan realizes that her kids are slipping away, and she decides to loosen up a bit. That heartbeat is what makes the movie watchable. On the Cat in the Hat DVD commentary, Alec Baldwin addressed complaints about the story departing from the source material, saying that it was an idea about something. He went on to say that Seuss's work is so unique, making a feature-length film requires taking liberties and broad interpretations. The greatest and most successful Dr. Seuss adaptation is the 1966 animated television special, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. If you want to attribute that to the fact that it's a Christmas movie which gives it legs, I'll meet you there. That could very well have something to do with it. The 1966 movie is basically just Boris Karloff reading the original book with a few songs scattered in here and there. Of course, Dr. Seuss, Theodore Geisel, was alive during the time and helped write the songs. The biggest problem with Dr. Seuss movies, animated or live action, is that when translated to the big screen, screenwriters tend to make the content condescending. They go for wacky or zany, which I don't think is an apt description for the work of Dr. Seuss. What other children's authors are out there completely handling the sensitive subject of an arms race like the Butter Battle book? Should we discuss the theme of the Sneetches, a story about the follies of class or race superiority? Dr. Seuss wrote children's books that found a way to address big issues without preaching or pandering to a younger audience. He also wrote stories about cats that wear hats and unappetizing breakfast food items. He could blend silly and serious without wandering off the trail into zany territory. When making an adaptation, the more filmmakers add to a Dr. Seuss work, the worse it gets. I guess I agree with Alec Baldwin to a point. Dr. Seuss was unique. Anyone who comes after him and tries to change things or make a broad interpretation runs the risk of paling in comparison. At least Seuss didn't hate children like Roald Dahl, or subscribe to the incomprehensible literary nonsense tradition of Lewis Carroll. The Cat in the Hat took a theme, stuck Mike Myers in a catsuit, and made him riff for an hour and a half. They threw everything up against the wall, and a few things stuck. If the best thing that comes out of The Cat in the Hat was a more thoughtful approach to adapting the work of Dr. Seuss, that's not just a nice thing. That's a great thing. That's it for this episode of Anything Nice to Say. Tune in next time and never be ashamed to like what you like. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you have a movie you want us to do, drop it in the comments below. Check out our merch store for fun and interesting items, and head on over to Patreon to subscribe for early access, giveaways, discount codes, and other fun stuff. My book, Live Like Legends, is out now. Check it out on Amazon.